Hello and welcome to the 20th edition of the Two Black and Two Nerdy podcast. I'm your host, Kris.
And I'm your host, Kris.
And we've got a variety of topics to talk to you guys about today. I think first we'll kind of go over just kind of what movies and shows we've kind of seen sort of outside of our normal topics. Then we'll get into the Arrowverse now that we're back from the break. And then finally, we're going to talk about Kingdom Hearts 3. It is real. It exists. It is
Finally.
out. Finally here. 13 years. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So, Kris, do you want to talk about any movies or shows or anything that interests you that kind of, recently happened?
So I just watched all of the Dragon Prince season 2 yesterday. And if you don't know what the Dragon Prince is, it's a TV show based on by the creators of Avatar. It takes place in this mystical world where you have different magical beings like dragons, elves, humans, and the basic plot line is that long ago the humans and everybody lived in harmony. Then the humans created dark magic, started screwing everything up. So then the two civilizations where basically magical creatures are on one side and humans are on this other side in the divide, and there's been a war going back and forth, and that you take place, probably a few decades after that happened, or several decades after that happened. So I think it's a really good show. They're short seasons. I think season 1 was 12 episodes and season 2 was 9, but they're pumping them out rather quickly. The animation was a lot better the second time around. It was a lot more consistent. I like the cast of characters. If you are a fan of the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, you will recognize some of the voices.
Sokka, Sokka's in there.
Yeah, Sokka's one of the main characters in season 2. Ko, the voice of Ko, the face stealer, is in there. So yeah, I think it's a good cast of characters. I like the premise. It's a fun show. I think they have another hit on their hands. Maybe not as big as Avatar, obviously, but I think it's going to be a very interesting show to watch and see how it develops. Kris, do you watch it?
Yeah, so I finished season 1. I'm like midway through season 2 right now. So, I've enjoyed it for the most part. It definitely does give like Avatar-y type vibes because that team, so I think after Korra they did Voltron, right? Or at least the animators did Voltron, I think.
Yeah.
And now the Dragon Prince is like their new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool. I like it.
Well, their new thing until they get the live action Avatar series.
Oh yeah, that's
a thing.
Cross fingers. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay. Yeah.
And then on the same subject of dragons, I also got to see How to Train Your Dragon 3 a couple weeks ago early.
How was that?
I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the entire trilogy. I think 3 was better than 2, but I still really liked 2. I think it's a really well done series, and it's a proper conclusion.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I've never seen the How to Train Your Dragon movies like at all, like any of them. So
I think you definitely enjoy them.
Maybe one day I'll go through and just binge them.
I think one of them is on Netflix, if not both of them.
Because sometimes I don't know. There's like a weird era where like there's just a lot of stuff I missed. I feel like I think we were texting. We'll get into this when we talk about Kingdom Hearts. But I just saw Big Hero 6 for the first time a couple weeks ago, and Tangled for the first time. Because somehow I just missed those movies.
Tangled is excellent.
When they came out, yeah. So, I saw. You ever watch Black Mirror?
No, I think I've seen a couple episodes. I haven't watched it intently. I think it came on after I finished some series, and Netflix was just like, "Oh, you should watch this," and it just sort of came on. I was just like, "Huh."
So just to give you an idea, Black Mirror. I mean, you'll know, but I'm telling the audience, Black Mirror is essentially like the new version of the Twilight Zone. Except also every episode is its own individual story. So like everyone says skip the first episode because the first episode is weird. But the rest of the series is really interesting. It usually deals with like people misusing technology or like technology taken to an extreme. And they in their latest episode, which is pretty much a movie, it's almost like it's based off like you ever read those choose your own adventure storybooks where like you have to make a choice and you get different endings depending on what you do.
Yeah.
So they have the movie is like that, like within Netflix, where you have to make choices for this character. And I don't want to go into spoilers too much, but everything just takes like a wild turn. So like there are certain choices that you make that are small, like okay, like what kind of cereal are you going to eat, and then there are larger choices of like, do you murder your dad or not? And it's just like it gets really intense. And it is almost like a game, but essentially, whenever you get an ending, you have the option to go back and make a different choice to see how each choice changes the outcome of the story, and the endings are like radically different. So I would definitely say that if you're into something, if you want something that's a little different, a bit of I'd say it's closer to a thriller. Definitely check out the Black Mirror movie. I think it's called like Bandersnatch or something like that, but.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
That's what it's called.
I had a lot of fun with it. And the whole series, I think, is just really fascinating. I binged it last summer, so yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so yeah, I think I remember when it first came out. It came out around the same time Bird Box did, and so I know like a few people were talking about Bird Box, and then they're like, oh, well, you gotta check out this Bandersnatch too. And I think probably it would have been a bigger thing had Bird Box not gotten, as big as it did.
I have to see Bird Box.
Yeah, I think people were like, let's do a Bird Box, but Bandersnatch. Let us choose the adventure. I'm just like, most of y'all would still die.
Yeah. But I'm assuming, though, that they're probably... Netflix is probably... Because with Netflix, you can do more of that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got more choose your own adventure stuff as time went on. So we'll see. I also saw Alita Battle Angel last night.
Yeah, looks beautiful. Did it match up to the?
Well, I never read the manga ever. So Alita Battle Angel is based off of an old manga, I think from the 90s, about a cyborg, a robot girl, pretty much, who She pretty much fights evil robots. I will say that the movie looked beautiful, and the movie actually they do a good job of. Are you familiar with the Uncanny Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cyborg in the movie, she looks super real and lifelike, but she has like huge like anime eyes, and like she's clearly like meant to look different than like a human being, Mm-hmm. So the Uncanny Valley actually helps a little bit because the main character Alita actually looks kind of creepy, and that's almost the point. So I think it works, and the whole like the world that they're in and just the society that exists within the movie was super cool, and the fight scenes were really good. The storyline itself was like, meh, Mm-hmm. And the thing that really drags this movie down is that there's a love story in it that's just not great. It reminded me of Twilight, and even stuff like, I don't know if you've ever seen like action movies that are kind of like, I don't want to say they're made for women, but they're made with women in mind. Stuff like Hunger Games, stuff like Divergent, stuff like that, where it's like where like everything is super dramatic. And characters they'll get to know each other for 10 minutes, and it's like, oh my gosh, I love you, and you're like, really, Gotcha. So it definitely plays into some of those tropes. It might be a good date movie, but yeah, the love story I wasn't super into, and some of the dialogue is really cheesy and corny, but it did look good, So I'll give it that. And as far as like anime live action adaptions, as far as like the look and feel of like trying to go from anime to live action, this is probably one of the better movies I've seen. When you're talking about like Dragon Ball Evolution and stuff like The Last Airbender, never saw Ghost in the Shell, probably never will. I will say that this movie, action wise, is definitely more on par with like stuff you see in your typical kind of anime show.
Mm-hmm. How were Mahershala Ali and Christoph Waltz?
Christoph Waltz was good. He plays a doctor who he essentially finds like he's essentially like in a scrapyard and he finds like this dying robot. He rebuilds her and it ends up becoming Alita. Christoph Waltz is pretty good. Mahershala Ali is very underutilized.
That's a
He's
shame.
very it is yeah, not one of his best roles. Even like there's even parts of the movie where he laughs and like I'm used to the Cottonmouth laugh from Luke Cage. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. He doesn't have it.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, like the laugh he does is not like I wanted the Cottonmouth laugh and it just wasn't that, and I was just disappointed. So I will say if you're going to see it in 3D because the effects are the best part. If you're not going to see it in 3D, I'd say just wait till it comes out on Blu-ray.
Fair enough.
So, you got anything else, or do you want to get in the Arrowverse?
Let's get into the Arrowverse.
All right. Well, I feel like we always start with Black Lightning. So, and this is spoilers for everything. We're just going to run through it. Khalil, Mortal Kombat. His spine getting ripped out. I wasn't expecting that to happen when it did.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining, I guess.
Yeah, that was
threw you off guard.
Yeah, I mean that was a straight up fatality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that the Jennifer on the Run storyline is over. I was getting sick of that. I feel like now that that's done, I'm happier. The stuff we've been getting after that, I think, has been pretty good.
Yeah, we're out of her origin story phase, I think.
So Jennifer is, she went out to the Seahorse Motel, and which was a nice callback to the pilot, by the way, because we haven't been there since the pilot, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Maybe in like the second or third episode with Lala, but not since then.
And we've
that
already
was sort of his base, right?
Yeah, we've already seen what her suit's gonna look like. So I'm hopefully I'm assuming by the end of the season we're gonna have like the whole family. I mean, except the mom, all in suits at this point.
Yeah.
I have a question. So with the whole principal thing, is Jeff going to get the school back? Like, what are they doing with that? Because at first you're like, oh, well, the new principal got embarrassed on a video and they're thinking about giving Jeff his old job back. But now he's like, oh, I don't know if I want it because I'm gone half the time. So do you have an idea what you think is going to happen with that?
See, it makes me wonder how relevant the school is going to be because Jin's a senior, right? And so, you don't have Khalil there really to push that storyline. You don't really care about anybody else at the school, and because he hasn't really been there this season, the whole school foil or the principal foil of his character isn't really necessary.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like what they would do with that. I mean, I feel like for him, I feel like Jeff would do a much better job, like, if he got a principal in there who knew he was Black Lightning, and then he was just a vice principal or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea what they're doing with that. Oh, another thing. So, the guy from Power Rangers, what was his name? Todd? Like the tech guy that Tobias had?
Yeah.
So, they totally killed him off screen. That was weird.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting that, like, he didn't get a sort of, like, that was something that we just sort of had to pick up on.
Yeah, it was just like, he's there with the assassin lady. Cutter, is that her name?
Yeah, and I had to go back and watch that. I was just like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he was there with the assassin lady. They're like, oh, yeah, I gave Todd a new car. You see like, a black hand and the car blow up, and you're like, oh, guess Todd's dead. Okay.
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to think of anything super of note. So I guess Tobias has access to other metahumans that he can control now.
Yeah.
And that was like, I guess, the teaser at the end of season 1 with him with the box. I mean, that's, I guess, what the box led to was him having his own army of metas. Right. So now we know. We don't. Do you know what's going on with Grace? She clearly has powers of some sort, and she disappeared. And Anissa sad. I don't know, who is she in the comics? I forget.
I can't remember what her name is, but I do remember she was in the Outsider comics. I think she might have just gone by her name, Grace Choi.
Yeah, so that's clearly set up for her to come back at, some point. I'm curious to see if she'll be like a villain or, if they'll play around with that,
Yeah, because as far as we know, she's not one of the metahumans that came out of Freeland.
Yeah, she wasn't. But apparently she has like a fake identity, so who knows where they're going to go with that.
Right.
Do you have anything else about Black Lightning at all?
No, I'm curious to see how the rest of the season plays out. Because we've gone from having Khalil and Jennifer on the run, Tobias in jail, whatever's going on with why can't I remember? Anissa and her vigilantism and stealing money from drug dealers and giving it to the church. There's still a lot in these last what do they have, another 8 episodes left?
I don't know if it goes as long as the other shows, but we're on, next episode is 14, and first season only had 13 episodes, so.
Right, did this one get 19?
I think it might have gotten 19.
Okay, so then we got another 5 to go. So yeah, we'll see how all this plays out. I think the chickens still have to come home to roost for Anissa.
Definitely, and also all the shows got renewed. I think that happened in between podcasts, so I was a little worried for Legends and Black Lightning because those ratings have not been great, but they're renewed, so yay. He gets more seasons than Luke Cage, R.A.P. All right, do you want to get into Flash maybe?
I haven't watched Supergirl, have you?
We don't have to talk about Supergirl.
Okay, then let's get into Arrow first.
Yeah, I guess because I guess Legends is still on break, so we can't talk about Legends at all. You want to do Arrow first?
Yeah, let's talk about Arrow first.
So they finally, I was really annoyed with the future storyline because I felt like it wasn't going anywhere. Last episode they finally revealed that Oliver and Felicity have a biological kid. They have a daughter that is Mia, which I guess I thought Thea was supposed to be their take on Mia Dearden from the comics, but I guess,
yeah, that's where they got the inspiration from, but then now they're just like, but wait, there's more.
So Mia is their kid, and it looks like in the future we have all the kids of. It looks like they're gonna. To me, it looks like they're just gonna form a new Team Arrow with all the kids of the original cast.
Right.
So you have William, who's the tech person. He's clearly gonna be like the new Felicity. Mia, who is either going to be a Speedy or Green Arrow type character. You have John Diggle Jr. still exists.
Yes.
As an adult. The same actor from Legends, I checked.
Yeah, it is.
So he's there, and then Renee's daughter, Zoe, is a vigilante that I feel like essentially she's kind of, Black Canary-ish.
Right. And let's all pray for Renee's hairpiece that he gets a better one in future episodes, because God, is it awful.
Yeah, I will say with the characters being aged up in the future, they all look bad. Renee's is probably the worst. Dinah's makeup not convincing. Roy probably looks the best, and even he doesn't look great. But Renee's wig is really bad.
It's just awful. I saw that and I was like, what is that on his head?
It was almost as bad as, at least like with Legends. Remember the episode where they had the Damien Dark back in the day where he had a wig?
Yeah.
But like that was meant to look like goofy and fake.
Yeah.
But Renee's, I'm just like, why? You could have just gave him a hat or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you could have even just gave him the same hairstyle, just put some gray in it.
Yeah, that was, whew.
It was just awful.
I think they need more black hairdressers on these shows, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Then I remember Twitter was up in a storm when they found out that who Mia was and William and
Felicity babies.
Yeah, and then William was just like, when she was just like, oh, what, were you in a relationship with her? And she's like, no, I'm gay and she's my mom. And I was just like, I feel like the mom part should have gone first.
Yeah.
Just be like, no, she's my mom.
Yeah, the mom probably should have gone first. I actually thought that was a funny line, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. I was just like, at first, because I keep forgetting who William is until they say his name or something like that. Because I'm just like, William just has never just sat right with me as a character, what they've done with him. He's just been sort of this.
Adult William is better than Kid William, and hopefully Kid William is gone. He's going to live with his grandparents, which he probably should have been there since the beginning, to be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I found it funny how he got mad at Felicity for sending him away, and she got mad at Oliver for sending William away after the Damien Dark thing, and I'm just like, Felicity, you're a terrible mother.
Yeah. Oh, also, they're doing, they brought the Suicide Squad back, it looks like.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out.
With Diaz, son of Deathstroke. I wish they could just get Manu Bennett, but whatever.
Well, he's a good guy now, so.
Yeah, he is a good guy now. China White, which is a deep cut, not a deep cut, but like she hasn't been in the show in a while, so.
Yeah.
I was actually happy to see her come back. She was one of those original Arrow villains. And Cupid, because they need someone to fill out the roster, and that actress is probably always free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with that. I mean, just give us some good fight scenes, please.
Yeah, because it did get renewed for next season, but I'm sort of disappointed in how it got renewed, because I know I've talked about this, maybe not last podcast, but 2 or 3 podcasts ago after we talked about Crisis, how they said it was coming in the fall. I don't want Crisis to be a 4-part crossover. It needs some time to develop. And so I was really hoping they'd all you would all have their shows, but it would all be dedicated to Crisis, to you could at least do the first half of the season be about Crisis. I know they won't. But I
wishful thinking. But I will say that's almost a crime of some of these shows. Is that, I mean, just the way that TV works and like how many actors have to get screen time and that kind of stuff. I mean, certain storylines like Flashpoint on The Flash really suffered. And one thing I'll say about Arrow season 7 is that I'm glad that they had Oliver in prison for like 6 episodes. You know, like he was there long enough for the show to feel a little bit different. You know,
right.
So, you know. I was going to mention something else. There's stuff with like Oliver working for the GCPD. That's like whatever to me. I'm trying to think of
GCPD.
Starling City PD. My bad. Sorry. I'm so used to Gotham.
But notice they started throwing in Wayne Tech now and Gotham City now.
Yeah, they're really excited that they have the license to mention Batman East stuff. Ever since the crossover.
As soon as Oliver said in the last season, talking about like, where's Bruce Wayne? Have you seen him? Like, ever since they said that, more and more Gotham stuff has been brought up. And you know what? Fine. Use it.
I agree.
You've used everything from the big 3.
Yeah, because they did have Themyscira in Legend, so kind of. and Amazon, I guess. So they have used the big three in some form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. The Oliver's friend from the prison came back. He's a Starling City Slayer. He's an actual comic book character.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. I'm curious now. Is Dinah gonna lose her cry because he cut her throat?
Yeah, that's what people were saying, and I'm just like, that's dumb.
Well, because she had a scar in the flash forward, so they actually did plan that out, at least somewhat.
Right.
She has a neck scar, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But and then also, but the way she got cut and the way they say Curtis saved her, I was just like, she'd be dead. There's no way.
Right. And then also, Curtis is leaving the show.
He has left the show.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was there for a while. He had a good run. I think the actor wanted to be done. They weren't really giving him any interesting storylines.
They never gave him any interesting storylines. They wasted that character.
They did kind of waste Mr. Terrific. So, I mean, he's gone. I'll live. And we'll get in the Flash in a minute. Though I guess Carlos Valdez is leaving the Flash too. It makes me kind of sad.
I don't think that one is as set in stone as Curtis's is.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I think that's still rumor.
I kind of feel like I was like, man, they're getting rid of like the minorities, but I mean, whatever. Is it R.I.P. Wally? Never forget.
Yeah, he's off with Grandpa Joe somewhere.
Yeah, of course. Well, Jesse L. Martin is actually coming back. I saw on Instagram. He had a back injury, so I mean that's not I'm glad he's healthy, so that's all that matters.
So yeah, going into the Flash, one thing before we start talking about specific episodes and how things have been going on, have you been noticing that Barry has not really been all that present in these episodes?
He got married.
Yeah, so I know that the episode where he was phasing in and out, they were still filming the crossover. So has everything else just been with him being on his honeymoon and stuff?
I think everything else has been with him on the honeymoon.
Okay.
Yeah, because the crossover, they were still filming the crossover during the episode where he was phasing. But I think he was on his honeymoon because Grant Gustin did get married. So I'm trying. So. Yeah, we were kind of testing about this earlier. So, I'm really sick of Cicada.
Oh yeah, wish he was gone.
I'm sick of Cicada. He was cool at first, but he's escaped from Team Flash for dumb reasons way too many times, to the point where someone on Reddit made a cut of how many times a Cicada has escaped, and I believe it's 5 or 6 times, and we're only, I think maybe 13 episodes in the season?
Yeah, we still have at least another 9 episodes to go. And it's annoying because every time he escaped, it's not like he has engineered his own way. It's because Team Flash are celebrating that they got him, but he's not knocked out, he's not depowered. He is either stuck to the wall with Caitlyn's ice, he got stabbed with his own thing, he got punched a whole bunch of times by Barry, and then they're just like, oh yeah, let's go. And then this dude can fly now apparently, or Hulk jump away.
Yeah, Hulk jumps, All Might jumps, Superboy jumps, whatever you want to call it. Is that even like, I guess it's just a part of the powers that he has, but like, it's just in the
Where
effect
did these powers come from?
And the effect they use when he does it is really bad, and I'm just like, stop with Cicada. Like, I'm just like, it's like, I think it was your brother who tweeted, it's like, punch Cicada in the face and then hug your daughter Barry. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, what's keeping me right now is, the Thawne storyline. I love me some Thawne. I'm curious to see what Thawne's master plan is with Nora. Because he's still clearly, he's clearly unstable. And in my mind, he's still clearly evil, Thawne is.
Yeah, and he's about to die, I guess, is the reigning theory, because we see that countdown, and he's saying, like, I don't have that much time left, which generally means you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
So, curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going on. I mean, Nora as a character, is I'm pretty much the same place I was with her before. I do feel like she's just too childish.
Yeah, for the age she's supposed to be at.
The actress is like 34 years old.
Right, and she's supposed to be like 27 or something like that in the show.
And she acts like, 16.
Yeah, I'm like, I get you didn't have a dad, and you have, I guess, a rather estranged relationship from your mother. But it's interesting because when they went inside her head for that episode,
that was the best episode since the crossover, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. And you show 8-year-old her with such a warped perception of her mother. Is that because of after she found out that her mother was suppressing her powers, her whole view of her mother changed, or was she always that sort of jaded towards her mother? Because that's some other issues that she should probably get looked at.
Probably. Yeah, I liked future Iris, even though it's just Candace Patton.
Yes. Well,
just being mean.
Candace Patton is always a win.
Yeah, Candace Patton meaner. That was her mom. I will say she clearly has issues. I just want to know. I'm curious to see if we're going to actually go to the future like proper and see like what they were all actually like see what the relationship was, you know?
Yeah.
Because I do find that I find the future stuff and the Dawn stuff, I find that interesting, and like clearly we're building up to Crisis next year.
Right.
That stuff is interesting. Cicada, I could care less. I will say that the memory episode was the best because they mentioned Red Death, so I don't know how you would do Red Death on the show because that's like Batman and Flash like fused but evil. I don't know how you
make it Batwoman, I guess.
You could make it Batwoman. I have no idea if they actually plan on doing Red Death in the show or if that was the tease, because usually every season they tease who the future villain's going to be.
Right.
In some way. So I'm curious why they put that in there. And the daughter of Cicada, I mean, not the daughter, his niece or whatever, who's in the coma right now, she's going to be the future Cicada. I guess is implied from the dream because in her mind...
She was in the costume.
She was in the costume.
Right, and it sort of makes sense how he sort of disappeared for a while and then he came back. So they say they never caught him, which means Dwyer dies, and then 20 years down the road, she becomes the new Cicada.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it gives that character a purpose besides being, a plot device for Cicada to be evil. Also, that nurse, the black nurse, I mean, she's evil too, clearly.
Yeah.
Just helping him out. We're not going to be doing the Cicada storyline to the end of the season. But hopefully they do some fun stuff with Dawn stuff. Next episode in a month, or at least in a couple of weeks, they're doing King Shark versus Grodd, which is something they've been teasing since the premiere. So I'm actually pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that you have Cicada knows who Iris is now, and because of that, why wouldn't he ever stop coming after her? Like, you pretty much have to she has to stay in Star Labs now, because all he has to do is stalk her, find her, and the whole last episode that just happened, besides Barry being there, is just going to happen over and over and over and over.
Until they catch him.
Right, and also, okay, several questions about how it took her 53 times to get it right. Why did she... Why did she go to the same spot every time she got on the roof? Why wouldn't you go to the other spot? Or you saw that he threw it. There's some reason why he had to have been alerted. Why didn't you figure that, it's the big purple and yellow lightning streaks that follow me as I run? Why don't I approach from another direction? There was just so much you could have done. I just can't believe that in 52 times, you did not try something else that did something different to work.
Yeah,
also, grab everyone and put them in Star Labs. Then he literally can't grab anyone.
Well, when they put everyone in Star Labs... Well, he kills Cecile, right? When everyone was in Star Labs.
Yeah, so then grab Cecile.
Yeah,
Grab
I
her
mean,
first.
I guess they were trying to imply that no matter what she did, he'd end up killing someone. You know, when they did like the Flash the 52 times, but they definitely could have been a little more creative. Nora could have been more creative in trying to stop Cicada, and I think that's just a fault on the writers of Nora not being more creative and having to stop Cicada from killing people, and then Cicada being more creative and how we end up killing someone. You know what I mean? Because with
Yeah.
like a time loop episode, a Groundhog Day type episode, I mean, those episodes work or those stories work when the main character has literally tried everything and it
Right.
just doesn't work out.
I mean, just look at Happy Death Day to You that just came out this week, and so that like from all the reviews I've read, it's just hey, this is a happy or a fun take on what they did last time, just different. I'm like, learn from that.
Yeah, Legends time loop episode was better.
Yeah,
Remember they did theirs last year with Zari,
yeah,
and Gary was in the trash compactor or in a
yes.
dumpster or something like that.
Oh, and even the where who's the magical creature that is has the body of Amaya?
Charlie.
Charlie, yeah. Charlie even had a better episode when you had all the different variations of the legends. So that was a better episode than this last one for the Flash. But I also
agree.
had another question. I think I texted you about this on Tuesday. So Barry was told by Thawne in the first season, or no, in the second season when he went back in time, that um, the time wraiths come when someone doesn't know what they're doing, travels through time, or a speedster that doesn't know what they're doing travels through time, which is why they never showed up for Thawne, and it's why they showed up for Zoom. But why has Barry not questioned why Nora has not summoned time wraiths? Because as we know, and as he knows, she had her power suppressed for years. Who showed her how to go back in time? Because you might get one or two freebies, but she's actively staying in this time and actively changing things. So that would summon time wraiths unless someone taught her what to do.
Yeah, well, you know what? Now that I think about it, because at the end of last episode, Barry gave her the same speech Jay gave him in season 3 after Flashpoint,
The
right?
exact same speech.
The exact same speech where he broke the cup. But that speech doesn't make any sense talking to Nora. Like, he's talking about Nora, you can't mess with the timeline. But by her existing in their timeline with them this whole
And
season,
interacting.
Nora's actively been screwing the timeline up, like, completely.
Right. And so, well, basically, is what it's showing is either everything that Jay and I guess the rest know about the Speed Force is wrong, and that's what Dawn is proving, because what it said was the timeline is malleable, but this whole cup argument is showing that it isn't. So you have those two competing forces. But I think I also sent this to you, but this was like a couple months ago with what HR said. Like if you deny someone their potential long enough, they'll look for it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally what you're getting this season with why she's gone to Thawne. And so that's going to break, Barry's heart when she finds that out. And it's just so interesting. I just don't get why she's still doing this. Like, I get you want to save your dad, but at the same time,
I have a theory too.
hey,
I think all of this stuff with Nora this season is what's going to lead to the crisis in the crossover next season. Because clearly, like in the newspaper, the crisis is supposed to happen in like 2025 or something like that?
Yeah, 2020,
2025. All this messing around with the timeline with Nora, I think, is what's going to cause the crisis to happen sooner in 2019.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that is what they're leading up to with this. But I agree that, yeah, how can the timeline be malleable and then you're still using Barry's, like, cup argument? Yeah, that's about it. And we mentioned before, I guess Cisco's leaving at some
Yeah.
point. They're teasing him wanting to get rid of his powers.
Oh yeah, it's gotten very X-Men up in here. They got very X-Men The Last Standy 2 episodes ago, and I was not a fan.
Yeah, they did with the other where Cicada's hunting the other metas, and they tried to help them. And I guess they're working on this cure pretty much because some metas have powers that are terrible,
Apparently.
and they can't leave. There's like the guy, the people, people have powers that they like explode and stuff. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah, but realistically, if that was such a big issue, you'd have a lot more problems. They clearly have it under control.
That's true. So I mean, they are getting very X-Men, where it's like, oh, I don't know if all my powers or not. And I don't think they're gonna get rid of Cisco's powers, at least not permanently. But he's still probably gonna leave the show.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Caitlyn's dad again yet. I'm assuming he's going. I thought he'd be more reoccurring, but I guess not. I'm assuming he's gonna come back at least one more time before the finale, because they made the whole first half of the season is build up to like who Caitlyn's dad was, and then we got a mediocre episode.
Unless Icicle kills Cicada because he threatens Caitlyn, and you're just like, no one threatens my little girl but me.
Though Daniel Panabaker's directing episode 18.
Oh,
Fun fact.
Yeah, so he'll be back.
That could be it. Trying to think. Anything else with Flash, really?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, you're not missing much with Supergirl. So we can move past that because they've only had like one or two episodes since the premiere anyway. They've been on break while the other shows haven't. So all right. You want to get into Kingdom Hearts 3?
Oh yes, the culmination of 14 long years of waiting.
Okay, all right. So first, I want to, because I actually don't know this about Kris. I want to ask you, Kris, how familiar were you with the Kingdom Hearts franchise before playing 3? Like, what games have you played? When did you play them, etc., etc.? And then I think for this, I want to go into the bad first, and then we'll end off with the good, because this is I have very mixed opinions and like conflicting emotions about this game. So I guess yeah, you can start with what's kind of your personal history with the Kingdom Hearts franchise?
Let's see. So I have played Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, Chain of Memories, 358 over 2 days, Coded, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance.
Oh, so you've played all the big ones. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think I've missed. I did not play the mobile card game because I refused.
I didn't either.
I can't remember which one that is called, but whatever. And then I think, am I missing one? I think I'm missing one. I think there's one other one I did not play.
You hit all the big ones, I think. Did you play the when they re-released Dream Drop Distance for PS4? Did you play the Fragmentary Passage, which is essentially like a Kingdom Hearts 3 demo with Aqua?
Was that 2.8?
Yeah, 2.8, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't play 2.8.
Okay. Yeah, I did. All right. Well, you're pretty. All right. You were good. So, I mean, at least for me, I've played 1, 2, Rechain of Memories, Birth by Sleep, Days, Dream Drop Distance, Coded, and Fragmentary Passage. Fragmentary Passage, it just dealt with Aqua in the Realm of Darkness. It kind of tied into the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1 a little bit, and it just revealed, like, why she was there the entire time. Yeah. And, like, why Mickey didn't try to get her earlier. That's it.
Yeah, I found a video, and I'll send it to you after this, because it was, like, I was looking for a shorter, like, ruin, because I haven't played besides, besides probably 3, I haven't played a Kingdom Hearts game since the last one came out, like, that I actually, like, got when it came out, so...
Yeah, I did, I replayed 2 in Birth by Sleep with 2.5, then I got 2.8, so...
Yeah, so, I've watched this really funny recap video. It was about a half hour long. It was pretty entertaining. It wasn't, obviously it skipped over a lot, but it hit the main points. So when I was watching things, I was like, oh yeah, there's Xemnas and Marluxia and all of them and all that. I was like, okay, so recognized everybody, and then I was just like, oh, Ericus, there you are. Forgot about that Mark Hamill voiced him, which I was like, oh, that's a pleasant surprise. But yeah, so the bad things I didn't like. The frozen world was pretty doggone annoying. That labyrinth.
Yeah, it was.
That labyrinth was pretty annoying. I think that was the only world that I thought was annoying or bad. I think that they did a pretty good job with, hey, if you haven't played any of the middle games, let's tell you what some important things happened.
Like, this is Vanitas.
Right.
Vanitas is the dark half of Ventus's heart.
Right. Like, one of my friends was asking me, should he get 3, and he hasn't even played 1 and 2, and I'm just like, watch these few videos first before you get the game, and then, just text me with questions, because I know you're going to have them. Get a notebook down, because you're going to need to write down people's names.
Yeah, so, like, for me, the reason I'm doing the bad first, because I do think there is some bad that should be talked about. The game overall I thought was too easy, in my opinion. Because I remember, like, playing, like, Birth by Sleep and, like, really struggling at certain parts, even on, like, normal. Well, I felt like with this, a lot of people were complaining that the game was short, but I don't think the game is short as much as that since the game is so easy. And I played on normal, but I heard even on Proud is easy. I blew through it way faster than I think I should have. And hopefully they add a critical mode with DLC that'll make it a little bit more challenging. Because Kingdom Hearts games, I mean, especially when you get to end game bosses and stuff, can get pretty tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where it gets more difficult is I've been going through the battle gates this past week. That's where it gets more difficult than I think I've actually had trouble with playing in game. I had a little trouble with Xehanort, like I played on Proud Mode. I had a little bit more trouble with Xehanort after you got out of the dark mode, and all of a sudden, like, there's a whole bunch of Xehanorts just charging at you, and I'm just like, oh, you guys want to make me block. I hate blocking. Yeah, so I died a few times, and then I just had to stop and come back to it. I think I was playing it during the Super Run. I was like, I'm going to have to come back and start playing this again. But yeah, I think it was rather simple. Like, I didn't die until like several hours in. For the first
How did you feel about the ride mechanic? The theme park rides.
My favorite one was probably the pirate ship, which is odd because I know a lot of people did not like that one. But I thought that one got me the most utility and got me the most kills. Like, if I was, surrounded by a bunch of people, that one was perfect.
I like the merry-go-round.
That one was my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just like, all right, I just want this to end. Like, let me do this, like, let me press X like 5 times and then hit triangle because I just want to get out of this and back to bashing people. And then I wish we could have got the train more.
Yeah, you only get the train twice, right?
Yeah, once when you're fighting the Rock Titan, and then at the very end I love the last, I guess, like the Keyblade Graveyard and on. I love that part. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. So this is going to be, and we can do this transition from bad to good. So the biggest thing is I think the game's too easy. So my issue with the story in Kingdom Hearts 3, I love the beginning. And I love the ending, both the ending battles and pretty much how the storyline wraps up. And the Disney Worlds individually, with the exception of Frozen, which was kind of shaky, were all good. But my issue was that, like, the Kingdom Hearts part of the story, I feel like they jammed so much of it at the end, and it would have
Yeah.
been better if they had spread it out throughout the game, and if we had another like Square Enix like hub world in the middle. Like I really wish we had Radiant Guard in this game.
Yeah.
Like a playable version of Radiant Garden that maybe happened in the middle after the initial 4 Disney Worlds before the second 4. Because to me, I feel like you have the beginning, then it's like, all right, we're doing Disney Worlds. You get the Disney Worlds done, and then it's like, okay, we're going into full spoilers here, just in case. I mean, the game's been out. Then it's like, okay, save Aqua, okay, save Ventus, okay, we're in the end game, and you're just like, oh, okay, all right, so this is it,
We're in
and
the end game
that's
now.
my biggest, I think, issue with Kingdom Hearts 3 story wise is that I feel like the Kingdom Hearts parts of the story could have been spread out a little bit better, and I think you should have fought some of the organization members individually in the Disney worlds, even as just like mini bosses before the boss rush at the end. And I get that, and I like the boss rush, and I'll get it into it with more detail in a minute. But I wish that we had gotten more with some of the individual organization members. That way, the boss rush to me would have meant a little bit more. Because I think with this, they were expecting that you were familiar with, a lot of these characters and like how they fought and who they were. So they were just like, all right, well, you can just fight all the organization members at the end. And I would have appreciated it if you fought them individually at first, and then when they teamed up, in my mind, it would have been a little bit cooler. So,
Yeah, I think that's a very fair criticism because I feel like besides maybe 3 cutscenes throughout the entire game before you get to the end game part is for the sole purpose of like introducing people and sort of catching up on what their sort of plot is if you have not played the other games. Saying like, oh, we need the 13 places of darkness. Oh, we already have them. Maybe this is the new place where we get the 7 parts of light. Hey, remember the Keyblade? Not Keyblades, but the Keyblade? Yeah, we're going to try and form that. And so besides when you had just only organization members talking, whenever they were talking to heroes, I think that's just the wink to the audience like, hey, this is just a catch up just in case you don't know. So I agree with that. It should have been spread out more, and maybe they should have had a bigger hand in things. But they
well,
just really wanted to wrap up this Xehanort storyline that has been going on for 9 games.
for 9 games, yeah, I can understand that. So, all right, I'm done mostly complaining. All right, so the good. The game is absolutely gorgeous. Playing it, I mean, I don't even have a PS4 Pro. I have a regular PS4. I do have a 4K TV, but there's a regular PS4. The game is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, going back, because I went and popped in like 2.5 after just to see the difference. There's like no comparison.
Yeah.
Like 3 is absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot more vertical movement. So like I love running up buildings. I thought that was really cool. Eventually you just get the double jump and you get the glide at the end.
Yeah,
But
I was just playing that yesterday, and I held on the circle. I was like, oh, I can fly. It's not even really gliding because you will still go over the ground like you don't land. So
no,
I just
or
consider
flying.
Yeah, I call it flying.
But I love the move. You just have so much more movement in this game than the other games, and all of the Disney worlds. They're so much more vibrant. There's people in Twilight Town now. There's people in Olympus. One world that I was not excited for at all because I hadn't seen Tangle, so I didn't care. The Kingdom of Corona was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
That was probably next to Toy Story and Pirates, one of my favorite levels. Yeah, the game is visually stunning, and when you get to a lot of the Pixar stuff, I mean, it does feel like, man, this could be taken right out of a Pixar movie, you know? Like stuff like Toy Story. I mean, Toy Story looked great, I thought.
Yeah, Toy Story was probably my favorite world. Being able to play in the mechs was fun. One thing that held me up for a long time because I was just not paying attention in the cutscene was going from the going into, I think, Kid Corral and finding out how to get there. And I was just not paying attention. So they're like, look for a vent. And I'm like, what vent?
Yeah, I mean, the Toy Story level was a little mazy, but I mean, I figured it out eventually. How'd you like getting in the mech?
Oh, loved it.
Yeah,
so much fun. Purple mech is the best mech.
Yeah, and one thing I liked about the world is that the sort of unique things you got to do in the individual world. So in Toy Story, you got to be in the mechs. In Pirates, you got to command the pirate ship. That kind of stuff I thought was cool. Even for sledding and Frozen was fine. Like, I like that each world kind of let you do unique things. You had that dancing mini game with Rapunzel and Corona. I appreciated stuff that was in there that was just there to kind of break up sort of like the regular Kingdom Hearts gameplay, which even at its best can be repetitive.
Right.
I'm trying to think of things that I like, other things that I liked. I said what my favorite world was. Did you have a favorite world?
Probably Toy Story was my favorite world. And then after that, probably Pirates. I really enjoyed being on the pirate ship. That's a good place to grind if you have not beat the game yet, or if you need to get higher levels, because even right now, I was just on there after I beat the game, and I went from level 47 to level 52 just by being there for like 30 minutes.
That's cool.
Also, I like being a pirate, so...
Monsters Inc. wasn't bad.
Oh, yes, that was one of the best moments in the game.
One of the best... So, you can tell the story, Kris. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you're in Monsters, Inc., and you have... that's Vanitas, right? That was Vanitas?
Yeah, it was Vanitas.
Yeah, so Vanitas comes, and he's kicking Sora's butt, and he's just like, yeah, I'm going to take Ventus's heart now. And then Sully peers behind Vanitas, grabs him. Mike Wazowski opens a door. Sully yeets Vanitas. Yes, yeets Vanitas right into the door, then picks up that door, yeets that door into another door, takes that door, yeets that door into another door, and then wood chippers that last door, and it was hilarious. And I don't know if they thought that was going to be memeable, but it was definitely memeable.
It was very... I think I shared a meme, and this is... I also had a meme, Kingdom Hearts meme that popped off. I'll talk about it in a minute. But I had a meme where I felt like it reminded me of Years of Vanitas. It reminded me of when Uncle Phil used to throw jazz on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yep.
Out the mansion. Like, because the thing is, typically in Kingdom Hearts, you don't see the Disney characters interact with, like, the Kingdom Heartsy characters all that much, you know?
Right.
So I was not expecting Vanitas to get yeeted, you know, in the middle of his, you know, anime villain, you know, type moment. So I'm shocked they put that in there. That was great.
Yeah. What did you think about the links? I didn't really use them but I think maybe I used them like 5 times.
I use them during boss battles a lot.
I sort of just forgot all about them.
So the Dream Eater one, I mean, it's nice that they remembered the Dream Drop Distance was a game. You know, hey, if you feel Dream Drop Distance is not represented, there you go. I'm trying to think of the other summonings.
Simba.
Simba was my favorite.
Oh, Simba was the best.
Especially because, like, he's, like, on fire, you know? It's like his spirit, you know? That was cool.
He was OP.
That was OP. That was cool.
Oh, he dominated the Frozen world. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, he did. Simba was cool. Wreck-It Ralph, I haven't figured out how to use him well. I'm glad he's represented in some form because, honestly, a Wreck-It Ralph world I think would have been too meta for Kingdom Hearts. And then, like, they wouldn't be able to do all the cameos from the movie, you know? Like, it'd be weird if you had Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, show up in a Kingdom Hearts game.
Right.
Or,
they should just do Sanic.
Sanic.
Just be like, oh, sorry, he got glitched out.
Yeah. Ariel was fine. Stitch, I'm not super. You use Stitch. I haven't really figured out how to use a Stitch summon well.
Yeah, I figured that out. Ironically, the first time I did it was in the first battle gate that you get, and I went back in there a few times and I was using that link, and so I figured it out. It's good for like in situations like that where you have a lot of small enemies. If you have a lot of big enemies, I definitely don't recommend it. I mean, it can, but if they move and they're outside the sort of constellation, then you're sort of screwed. And there goes all your MP.
Yeah, for sure. But the summonings for me were good. Where like if I was low on health, they were good at like just getting you out of a messy situation. But what did you think about the Big Hero world?
I think that it was a whole bunch of, hey, look at this world we created. We're gonna make you look at it with the whole VR or the AR training, and then the boss fight against Evil Baymax. I think they were just trying to show off the world, which was fine. I didn't really care all that much for that world. I think I was watching something on Netflix while I was playing that, so I was really not paying attention to that world because I was just like, meh.
Yeah, I will say I was definitely hurt. I feel like by not seeing the movie before. I did see Big Hero 6 afterwards, which was that's pretty good. Not, I will say as far as Pixar movies, I didn't dig Big Hero 6 as much, and it's surprising as much as I like superhero stuff. Maybe it's because I see so much of it, and like I've just seen like Spider-Verse. I was kind of like meh.
Yeah.
But I mean the world itself, I agree that it was really big and beautiful, and I wish there was a little more going on in it.
Yeah,
you
true.
know. Yeah, the Baymax fight was it was meh. The Big Hero, lower tier of the worlds, I think. Do you want to get into so we've talked about stuff we like. The game is beautiful. The gameplay is pretty great. Do you want to get into in-game stuff? Where pretty much the whole plot happens.
Also bringing up things back to things we don't like. Kyrie is flipping useless again.
Kyrie is done. Kyrie is done so dirty in this game. She is done. Like her and Axel are done kind of dirty, but Kyrie is by far. She is. Oh my god! And like,
at least Axel had like 5 minutes of usefulness.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So we can get into this in-game stuff. So first of all, Riku and Mickey are fighting Evil Aqua because Ansem, not Old Man Ansem, but Evil Ansem, Kingdom Hearts 1, pretty much throws her in like a pit of darkness. So when Riku finally gets Aqua, she's evil. You fight like a darkness horde, and then you get to summon Sora. So the scene, because when Kingdom Hearts 3 was first shown, there was like a scene of Sora picking up Ericus's Keyblade. We actually do see what that scene ended up becoming, which is him finding the Keyblade on Destiny Islands, and it takes him to the Realm of Darkness. Fight Aqua, you beat Aqua, you get Aqua back, which was a nice moment because out of all the characters, like Birth by Sleep, all the characters from Birth by Sleep got screwed, and Aqua had it the worst in my Aqua and Terra, but Terra, some of that was his fault. I didn't care. Aqua was kind of like the big sister character that has to like look after her dumbass little brothers, and she gets screwed, in my opinion.
Yeah, she got the shortest end of the stick, and you know who I forgot about when they showed up for all of like 5 seconds?
Who?
Lingering Will.
Yeah, the Lingering Will showed up. Yeah.
And that part didn't make much sense to me at all. And I'm just like, Nomura, why did you put time travel into this already convoluted series?
Yeah, we can get into that in the middle. I'm just trying to give like the brief summary. So you save Aqua. Saving Aqua was like a pretty happy moment. And then you go Aqua turns Castle Oblivion to the Realm of Departure again, which was cool. I did actually take a selfie with Aqua in that one part before you join the fight, and you can actually take a picture while Ventus is like sleeping in the chair. I thought that was fun. By the way, the photo mode in this game, well, not as great as Spider-Man's because they don't let you pause the game to take a photo. There's some pretty good meme potential, especially with Sora taking the selfies during inappropriate moments.
Yeah.
You fight. So you get to play as Aqua briefly, which we can get to more of some of my gripes. You play as Aqua briefly. You fight Vanitas, and then Ventus wakes up. You have Ventus. So at that point, you have the 7 I guess the 7 wielders of light, including Lee and Kyrie, which I don't know why Kyrie counts, but whatever. And then you go to the Keyblade graveyard. So what did you think in that first initial battle? Well, you had the battle with 1,000 Heartless, right? Which was pretty cool. You got to use the train again, which I thought that was fine.
I held off on using that train for as long as possible. I was having fun just beating the crap out of a bunch of Heartless.
But when you get to after that, you have that cutscene where you see mind control Terra, and your whole party just gets wrecked in a cutscene. What did you think about that? Because I was like, man, they went down kind of easy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, for all these Keyblade Masters, they just all got pimp smacked, and they're all going down. And then Donald, and my first thought when Donald does this, I'm just like, oh, Donald was just like, oh, y'all was making fun of me for almost 2 decades? I got y'all. Zeta Flare! And I was like, oh. And Goofy was like, Donald, no. I'm like, oh, well, his duck is cooked.
I mean, they really try to make you think that Donald Duck is dead.
I mean, they did the same thing with Goofy in Kingdom Hearts 2, so I guess it was Donald's turn.
Yeah. But I mean, I did think they went down kind of easily. And then you kind of have this thing where, you're in, the last world talking to, the cat creature thing from the cell phone game. You gotta, collect these little Soras, which I'm like, okay, this is just in-game padding, whatever.
Did you find the hidden star that you could talk to? I can't even remember who it is now. If they even
it's Naminé, I think.
Well, no, there's a Naminé one, but then there's another one.
I did not do that. I think you can go back and do it. I'm gonna try to do that. Yeah, there's people you can talk to in there. I totally did not notice that when I first did it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I think I've talked to all of them. Then I was like, oh, there's one more. And then it just became a cutscene. I'm just like, yeah, okay, now I have to pay attention.
And then you have to go save everyone's hearts from that one Heartless. And I guess, so there's one early moment in the game where Kyrie's like, all right, Sora, I'm going to protect you. And I'm like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And I guess her protecting him was her protecting his heart from being taken so that he could save everyone else, which I'm just like, that's lame. When they were hyping up Kyrie the Keyblade wielder, and her and Lee oh man, they've been training in, the hyperbolic time chamber. It's a Dragon Ball Z joke if you haven't, seen that. And I wanted to see her fight, and we did not get that, and that disappointed me.
I've never had high hopes for Kyrie.
Yeah, good.
Have high hopes for Kyrie because she got us into this mess, and here we are.
Yeah. So once you do that, so you bring everybody back, and it's almost like, I guess you end up going back in time, and this time the Lingering Will shows up to fight Terra Xehanort. And
which makes no sense.
Where did he come from? He came out of nowhere, and it's weird because it's okay, in this scene, the Lingering Will is supposed to be okay, so is that Terra's will empowering the armor? But then later on, when you fight Terra Xehanort proper during the battle where you're fighting the organization members, they reveal that the Heartless that comes out of his back, the same one that you see that came out of Ansem, Kingdom Hearts 1 Ansem, not Old Man Ansem, is supposed to be Terra.
Yeah, which also
makes no sense, which I guess they're trying to say, hey, Terra's been there the whole time since, Kingdom Hearts 1. And you're but it's it doesn't make any sense at all. So that was kind of weird. using the army of. What did you think about using the using the Keyblades from the graveyard to fight the heartless Tide? What did you think about that?
I thought that was cool. I thought it came a little too soon in where it could have been, but overall, I thought it was fine.
I like the
they did
names
not
of all the different wielders that showed up
Yeah,
every time you were just mashing X.
and they never reused the name. I was watching.
No, I think those are actual names of people who play the mobile game.
Yeah, it had to be something.
So that was cool. I feel like you could have worked that into the final battle a little bit with Xehanort. But I did think that was cool. What did you think about? So what ends up happening after that? What did you think about teaming up with people and fighting all the organization members in a boss rush? Pretty much.
I thought that was fun. It wasn't as challenging as I would have wanted.
We need critical mode.
Yeah,
Sorry,
honestly.
not sorry.
I think the most time-consuming one was fighting. God, what is his name? What was the guy that liked his cards?
Luxord.
Yeah, because fighting Luxord when he would just jump into those cards, and I'm just like, all right, which one? All right, Thundaga.
The one he's in is the card he's in wiggles. Fun fact.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that. I just went around Thundagaing everything.
Yeah, the card he's in wiggles. Yeah, I did like fight. I liked fighting the organization members again, and I did like. I mean, not again, but fighting them fighting them all at once. I thought was cool because that's something they couldn't have done in the earlier games. You know.
Yeah.
Something they can't do with this. I thought it was a great use of the new engine. I agree that it was a little too easy.
We forgot about one thing.
What?
Roxas came down like Thor in Infinity War.
I was gonna get there. Yeah, so there's one part where you start off with Kyrie and Lee. Kyrie's no help fighting Syax and a hooded person, which I figured it was going to be Shion because there's a Keyblade. Right. And then this cutscene happens where Xemnas just punks Lee and just breaks his Keyblade. Like, you think this is a Keyblade? Like, I was like, wow. And then Sora, I guess, gives Shion. He remembers Shion because he yells her name, which I'm glad they did that because out of all the characters in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, like Shion is literally a character that was not meant to exist, you know, and like everyone forgot about her because she debuted in an in-between game that happened in between Chain of Memories and 2. So, yeah, so that was cool. And then Roxas shows up. He comes down like Thor with his double Keyblades, and then you're gonna team up with him and Shion and all just gang up on Syax, and he just gets obliterated.
And it was worth it.
It was worth it. I've seen people because the assist characters can't actually kill the boss. Sora has to do the final hit. There are some people who like whittle him down, and then they just watch Roxas just beat up on Syax until they get bored. Which I'm kind of, and this is another gripe. I wish we could have played as more characters, but we'll save this. We'll save that until after we're done with the end game. So I liked each organization member had their own death scene pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of gave you some closure on like pretty much all the villains we faced up to this point. Like Kingdom Hearts original villains, you get to fight. You get to fight Evil Riku. You get to fight Vanitas, Terra Xehanort, Marluxia, Luxine, Luxord, Xigbar. They're all there.
I did my best to try and kill like Xemnas and Ansem and Terranort last, but sometimes that didn't happen because I would be like focusing on the other one, and the other like Xemnas would be low on health, so I'd start focusing on the other one, and then I'd just be I would throw up Thundaga, and then all of a sudden there's Xemnas trying to attack me from behind, and I'm like, oh well, There goes your.
Well, I will say, yeah. So after you fight the lower level members, you end up fighting what the Kingdom Hearts Reddit has dubbed the Xehanort Court, which is where you fight. Before you fight Old Man Xehanort, you gotta fight Young Xehanort, Ansem, and Xemnas all at once with Riku and Mickey, which was a really cool fight, I will admit. And they all have their movesets pretty much like from their individual games.
Yeah, and so that was fun. I think the end game, besides stuffing all the plot into it, was very well done. And I think we joked and said it was like that was Kingdom Hearts Infinity War.
It was, yeah. It was, the end game did feel very Infinity War-ish. This game is honestly the Infinity War, the Kingdom Hearts franchise, because it's like all these characters from these different side games. We got to pull all these plot threads together, and these people are meeting for the first time. So it did give me Infinity War vibes. And then after you do that, Kairi gets killed in a cutscene, which again, Kairi gets done dirty. And you have to go into Kingdom Hearts into what's the final level called?
It's a
Skada El Kylum or whatever?
Yeah, it's the one from what is that, Birth by Sleep? Point 2?
I don't think it was in any of the other games.
Well, that's where they all trained.
No, they trained in Land of Departure.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, Skada El Kylum or whatever is like it's Master Xehanort's like hometown, I guess. And Master Ericus.
Yeah.
But I thought the final battle was cool. I like fighting underwater. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good in-game fight. Wrapped up things rather well. So let's talk about this ending, because I think it's rather split among people. Like, some people are like, I loved the game, but I hated the ending.
All right, so as far as the ending goes, Terra Aqua Ventus being reunited, going back to Land Departure, great. Finally, those characters get a good end, because Birth by Sleep is actually one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts games. That was satisfying. Naminé gets a body. So that's cool. I guess she's hanging out with Riku now. All the Twilight Town people, they're going to run out of room in that clock tower.
Oh, yeah. Because
now you got Roxas, and then Hayner, Pence, and Olette, and then you have Lee in a new outfit, and then Sayax is with them, and Shion. So that's a nice little, they had their little, moment and send-off, which I thought was cool. And then everybody hanging out on Destiny Islands was a lot of fun. Yeah. That was a nice scene. And then you see Sora and Kairi sitting on the tree, and it looks like they're about to kiss. And I'm like, is Disney going to put this in the game? And then Sora disappears, and they're like, oh, I guess Sora's missing now.
Yeah, so whatever he did to save Kairi to get her heart back, he sacrificed himself. And so now Sora's lost in the ether somewhere. And if you got the secret ending, he's still lost somewhere. You have no idea where it is. It looks like Tokyo.
Yeah, he's in Tokyo somewhere. People think it might be a crossover with The World Ends With You. And, yeah, so, as far as the ending itself, it wrapped up the plot threads from all other side games, which I thought was impressive. Enough. That was fine. As far as the Sora sacrifice, I didn't mind the sacrifice within itself, because like all these games have been like all these people are connected to Sora, and Sora has to save everyone, and it makes sense that Sora has to, if anyone had to like die or make a sacrifice, it makes sense that he'd be the one to do it. But so that the rest of the characters can like live their lives.
Why did it have to be for Kairi specifically?
In this one, they're heavy shit teasing Sora and Kairi, because there's one part where they're talking and Sora has flashbacks to when he was in the Kingdom of Corona with Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, and like he's like, oh, I don't know a lot about love. So they're clearly like, okay, all right, Sora and Kairi's in game, but God, I just feel like we did not get enough from Kyrie. You know what I mean?
It began
To make
with
that
her
part like
being
worth
useless, and it ends with her being useless.
And it's disappointing because since Kingdom Hearts 2, I mean, video game storytelling has grown, quite a bit. And we've seen, games that do a lot, that have done female characters and done female characters well. There's been a rise of like critiquing game storylines and like the damsel in distress trope and that kind of stuff. And I really felt like with Kyrie, we could have gotten away from some of that, Yeah. You had Aqua in Birth by Sleep, who I think is a good character for the most part. So, yeah, making Kyrie like the damsel again, I thought was just I thought it was just in poor taste, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then Sora sacrificing himself for her, I'm just like, okay. I didn't mind the sacrifice within itself, but I do think that doing it for Kyrie, I'm just kind of like rolling my eyes. You know what I mean? It's like, Nomura, like, come on, bro.
Yeah, and what happened to, Kyrie's power where she could just give Sora back his heart? Why couldn't she just do that again? Why doesn't she have a spare heart somewhere where, Xehanort cut out her heart? Oh, I got a second one. What you gonna do now?
Dude, it's Kingdom Hearts. You can't think about it. You can't take it that seriously, otherwise you will get a headache.
Yeah.
So yeah. We forgot to mention Yozora.
Yes, Yozora.
So before
we get to Yozora, we have to talk about the end credit scene, the post credit scene, which was so the game begins with this long cut scene with young Ericus and young Xehanort playing a game of like 3D chess and talking about light versus darkness. And what it ends with is Ericus beats Xehanort. He says checkmate, and he says that something about light you never expect, or there's always more, something like that. But it goes from one piece of light, which was Sora, to 7 pieces of darkness, or 6 pieces of darkness, which represent I keep wanting to call them forerunners but that's Halo.
The foretellers.
The foretellers, yes. Which one of them is, God, I can never get these people straight. It's guy with the scar and the eye patch. Zigbar. There we go.
Well, the reveal is that Zigbar didn't die when he jumped off that building after you beat him in the end game, and he's the Masters of Masters apprentice.
Yeah.
And I guess he's been the one. He was the one who was manipulating Xehanort the whole time, and he's like the true villain of this franchise.
Yep.
And I guess he brought the foretellers back, except for one, and he's working with them, and somehow that's going to be the future storyline for Kingdom Hearts. So I have no idea where this is going to go or what they're going to do.
But who's excited for another 8 more games and another 15 years of this?
Yeah, I mean personally, like, if it were me, I would do a soft reboot of Kingdom Hearts. Have a brand new cast of like main characters, just so you don't have to force people to like read up on like years of lore. And this game, I thought, did a good job of giving most of the characters we've seen some sort of send off, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. But to me, it looks like they're not doing that, because we get the secret movie with Sora and Riku in Tokyo with Yozora, who was the fictional character in the fake video game from the Toy Story world.
Yes. And Yozora, they say in the Toy Story world, hey, it's Yozora, that's Sora, but no, it looks like
he looks more like Riku, to be honest.
He looks straight up like Riku.
So I guess I don't know, like Venom Rex. I don't know if Yozora, because originally everyone thought it was a parody of Final Fantasy 15. Which, if you don't know about the drama Final Fantasy 15, it was a game much like Kingdom Hearts 3 that was in development for a while, and then it got taken over, and then like Nomura lost it, and someone else took it over, and people thought Nomura was bitter and like was making fun of it, because Final Fantasy 15 was pretty much a giant disappointment. You know, I see some people comparing Kingdom Hearts 3 to Final Fantasy 15, but Kingdom Hearts 3 is a much better game than Final Fantasy 15 is, in my opinion. But anyway, so I thought that was a parody of that, but then with the secret movie, it implies that no, Yozora is going to be like an actual like character, you know? And so I have no idea what their plans are with that at all.
No one knows. I doubt even Nomura knows. And then Luxord gave Sora a card and said it's a wild card. One of my friends asked me what that was. I'm like, a plot device to be determined by Nomura later.
Yeah, he did give him a wild card. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So yeah, we don't really know what's going on with that either. So yeah, I mean, so overall, well, what would you rate the game as it exists now? Because you know for a fact we're going to get a final mix DLC probably. I don't know what's going to be in it, but that'll probably happen. But as far as the game now, I'm teetering between an 8 out of 10 and a 7.5.
I'm at an 8.
You're at an 8? Okay.
I'm at an 8.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, but there were some things that I think could be fixed. Another thing, besides the battle gates and one secret boss, I was looking for a bit more of a post game, so I'm hoping they add stuff as DLC later. So, like I said,
that secret boss ain't no joke.
Yeah. So, like I said, I enjoyed the game. However, I think the game is flawed in a number of ways that stop it from being like great, in my opinion. And, you know, as far as living up to the legacy of 13 years, I think a game like this is always just like inevitably, it was never going to be as satisfying as people wanted it to be because we had to wait so long, you know? People were comparing this game in relation to Kingdom Hearts 2 to Super Smash Bros. Melee and like any of the newer Super Smash Bros. Games, because if you aren't super familiar, Super Smash Bros. Melee is like a cult classic, and there's a lot of people who think that like Super Smash Bros. Melee still to this day, even with the new like Switch Smash and Wii U Smash, is still like the best game. And there's like a split amongst a fan base of, is Kingdom Hearts 3 better than Kingdom Hearts 2? So I want to ask you that opinion as well. Because Kingdom Hearts 2 is like known as the best in the franchise.
I don't know. I'll probably have to say Kingdom Hearts 2 is better. Right now I'll have to go back and play it. Because Kingdom Hearts 2 was what sold me on the franchise. Because it was the reason why I went back and played some of the other games, and played some of like the in-between ones, because I'm like, okay, I'm invested in this story, even though I remember the first time I played Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm like, you're not, who's Roxas? What is a Roxas, and why do I care? And
good old Roxas.
Yeah. Just like, wait, we're in a computer. But we don't find that out until like 4 years later.
So I think I've covered most of this. So question for you. Where would you like to see this franchise go in the future? Are there Disney movies that they haven't done that you think you'd want to see them do? You think they should move away from Disney and do some more Final Fantasy-ish stuff? You know, what are kind of your thoughts about this franchise moving forward? Because this is definitely the end of a chapter, and there's an opportunity for them to take this in kind of any direction they want.
Stay away from Marvel and Star Wars. For the love of God, please do that, because it'd just be too much. I think there are plenty of Disney and Pixar worlds that you can still tap into, and still tap into Final Fantasy as well. Even though with this whole Yozora thing, it makes me think you're going to tap more into Final Fantasy, which I'm fine with. Final Fantasy is a great franchise. But you need to sort of move quicker in how you tell these stories and how it gets to the end, because the franchise is almost 2 decades old.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff. Didn't do Princess and the Frog. Didn't do Moana. Didn't do The Incredibles, which actually kind of surprised me, because Incredibles, I think, would fit in pretty well with this.
Yeah.
Probably could figure out a way to do Finding Nemo. You probably have to make Sora a fish, but If you made him a more humanoid
Zootopia.
fish, you might be able to get to work. Zootopia is another big one. I don't think you can do Wreck-It Ralph. Brave is another one that they haven't done that they could do. Let me try and
Pixar
think.
theory it.
Wall-E is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do Cars. I hate Cars forever. I'm trying to think. You probably couldn't do Up, maybe.
There just wouldn't be enough conflict in there.
I agree.
Sort of the same thing with Wall-E, to be honest.
Yeah, Sora. Sora's obese in a chair.
Donald and Goofy are obese in chairs.
Oh my god. So I mean, there are options there for sure. Hey, the trailer for Frozen 2 came out, which I also heard the reason the Frozen world is kind of wonky is because the Frozen team was very like persnickety about like how that world could be used because Disney still has money to make. That mouse needs its cheese.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care about Frozen.
Versus like the Tangled team was like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. We got an animated series. We're probably not gonna do much else with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kris, did you have anything else you want to talk about before we sign off?
Well, nope. We got the Oscars next week. We'll see if which ones Black Panther comes home away with. I would really like to see Black Panther come home with a couple of awards.
Spider-Verse 2. I'm pulling for Spider-Verse.
Yes. Really hoping Spider-Verse comes up away with that. But what would be really funny is if Black Panther doesn't win an award, and I'm just gonna be like, to some of my hardcore Marvel like only fan friends, I'll just be like, hey, you know what cinematic universe does have an Oscar? The DC cinematic universe.
That is ridiculous. I can't believe that.
It's hilarious. It is simply hilarious.
Well, hey, yeah, Crunchyroll just had their anime awards.
Yeah, maybe next time we can talk about the world of anime because it has been rocked by a couple of scandals recently. So maybe we'll do that next podcast once more things have settled down and we can see because lawsuits are coming. I can already smell them.
Yeah. All I'll say about that is be careful talking to girls at cons. There are a lot of teenagers at conventions, which is why if you stay at cons later at night, they have 18 plus events. So just be mindful of that because conventions. There's a dark side to comic conventions and anime conventions. I think that's coming out. So yes. Be careful, and substance abuse. Also be careful with that as well, because I've heard stories. So on that note, I think we can sign off. Thank you guys for listening to our 20th edition. I'm Kris.
I'm Kris.
And live long and prosper.
Yes.